again, the really extraordinary thing is the level of political commitment, dedication, and leadership on the issue of nutrition, and the technical knowledge that your government representatives have. Our meeting with His Excellency the Minister of Finance, which was really excellent. He obviously knows his finance, but he also was exceedingly conversant on the importance of nutrition, on the role of women, and the strength and contribution that women make in their families and in their communities.
Her Royal Highness Princess Sarah Zeid of Jordan, an advocate for maternal and newborn health and nutrition, is working with the World Food Programme, WFP, to increase awareness of the specific needs, vulnerabilities, and contribution of women, girls, children, and newborns in humanitarian and fragile settings. Collaborating with the Nutrition Division in the role of Special Advisor on Mother and Child Nutrition, she aims to bring attention to the criticality of good nutrition in the first 1,000 days from conception to a child's second birthday, and champion the need for nutrition to be a core component of emergency response and integrated long-term support. Her visits to WFP operations in countries such as Burundi, Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Bangladesh have helped bring visibility to the nutrition needs of women and children in these fragile contexts. Her Royal Highness visited Tanzania through the World Food Programme, WFP, in the country as part of her mission. Her Royal Highness, our viewers would love to understand or to know that you being the Special Advisor for Mother and Child Nutrition for the World Food Programme, WFP, what are your tasks? What is that exactly you do?
First of all, thank you so very much for having me on your program. It's a great honor, and it's also a great honor and privilege to be here in Tanzania. My role with WFP is to highlight the critical role that nutrition plays in health and well-being. I am principally an advocate for maternal, child and newborn health in humanitarian settings where the needs are generally the greatest and where we see the largest numbers of maternal, child, newborn mortality and morbidity. And just as women are at the heart of families and communities, and work tirelessly every day on behalf of the health, well-being, education and safety of their children. Nutrition is at the heart of all interventions that enrich our lives, fulfill our potential.
Mm-hmm. Within your visit here in the country, you have been visiting or meeting various leaders within the country. What is that very much on top of the agenda?
Well, in our meetings, the first thing to note was how extraordinary the commitment of the government and representatives is to nutrition. And I was very, very impressed by the level of understanding that each of the representatives had about the importance of nutrition, and the leadership that exists on this issue. Because without that leadership, without this long-term sustained political commitment, the development of human capital, the nutritionists in the country, the willingness to work together and to cooperate, we will not see progress.
Mm-hmm. reflecting on 1,000 days since conception of a child to 2 years, it seems that these days are very crucial for the development of a child. Do people seem to understand the cruciality of this?
Certainly, the officials that we met with, they understood and talked about it. More broadly, I don't think that enough people do understand how crucial that time is, and that if we miss those first 1,000 days, then we have not only negatively impacted the cognitive and physical development of that child, but in large part that negative impact is permanent, it is irreversible, and it is also intergenerational, and we see the lasting effects. And surely if people understood the critical nature of those first 1,000 days and the way that we have to support our young women and our pregnant mothers, and then as they are young mothers and with young children, if people really understood how essential this was, then I would think that that nutrition activities everywhere would be taking place.
Again, you're advocating on maternal health and children, but here in Tanzania, and now you're here, what is the situation like on that aspect?
There is tremendous progress, but just as there's progress and there are opportunities, there are also challenges. And so, for example, anemia amongst girls and women is at 50%, and anemia, maternal anemia, is responsible for 20% of maternal deaths. And so one area that has to be focused on is this reduction in the levels of anemia amongst our women. And then malnutrition, or chronic malnutrition, which can also be known as stunting, affects 34% of the under 5 Tanzanian population. And again, we go back to that first 1,000 days and the need to focus on our pregnant women and newborns, and up until the age of 2 and beyond, ensuring that they have everything that is required, including information, knowledge, access to facilities. All of these things are absolutely critical.
You have mentioned on a very important thing here concerning the maternal anemia. And prior to the press conference, you also mentioned on the issue of women and girls also suffering with the issue of anemia. But again, we have this issue of the cultural shift that African women, once they're pregnant, they're asked not to eat this, not to eat that, which is not nutritional for them to make sure that the development of a child within them is, considered right.
Yes.
So how have you looked into that too?
It's about behavior change. It's about knowledge. It is about cultural shifts. And that doesn't happen overnight. This is something that as we learn, as we have evidence, we need to make sure that knowledge and that evidence, always respectful, permeates into all levels of society. At one of the projects, we saw some wonderful dancers being used to put forward some of the
to spread the message.
Exactly, and that's how it gets done, I think.
Tanzania is said to be food secured, but nutritional insecured. Why is that?
Because there is not enough knowledge. I think in large part, again, it comes back to behavior change, to knowing what you should feed yourself when you're pregnant, and how to have a diverse diet, one of the things that I didn't know but learnt on this recent trip was that they would, the WFP and Save the Children in partnership were having a cooking demonstration, and there was a cup of boboa,
baobab tree.
Thank you. Juice that was going to be poured into the whatever was being, and that had to go in last, because if you overcook it, then you eliminate the benefits of the vitamin C. I didn't know that, but it's so important also to know about diet diversity and the combinations, what fortifies or what limits.
When you went to Dodoma, in the rural areas, in various villages that you went through, you experienced the issue of malnutrition and again stunting. Both of these issues originate from nutrition. So what are the strategies in place now? You've seen the whole situation, or how things are, and maybe you have observed things there clearly because you went there physically.
Actually, it was in the city itself. We went to visit a unit of the hospital in the city itself. And I think that's the best way to talk about some of the, again, it comes back to some of the behavior change elements. It was a unit in the hospital for severely malnourished children. And there were 3 patients that were there, and a mother who was waiting to bring in her 4-week-old child, a baby who was really very, very sick. A 2-year-old beautiful little boy who had missed a number of his development milestones. So he was 2 and he could stand, but he couldn't walk or run. And he was really very little. And nutrition is prevention. It is a weapon of prevention, and no child should get to that stage. No adult should get to that stage. And so, what is it that means that we never have to be treated? It's that we focus on the prevention, and it is about access. It's about information. It's about understanding. When you see signs, that you seek help, and that again is an information element. Why was it that the mothers and grandmothers that were there looking after the children, why had they waited so long? And it could be a multitude of reasons. And it's not a judgment in any way at all, but we have to understand the individual's life, so that we can understand where it's possible to intervene, to support, and ensure that that we have prevented that level of malnutrition, and that we do not have to treat.
That is in the case of Africa and of course Tanzania. But looking at the continent of Asia, they also suffer that on issue of malnutrition. You have also managed to, travel there. So, again, what has been done?
But malnutrition affects all of us everywhere, and malnutrition is this dual burden. And at the extremes, you have undernutrition and you have obesity, and the associated costs that come with that. And you need to have political engagement, you need to have commitment, and you need to have a determination to pursue a government with the determination to pursue policies on these things. But it's also up to us, and it's up to the media. We all have a role to play to help people to understand how we take care of ourselves and how we take care of the people that we are responsible for and that we care for.
the issue of climate change is also a challenge to the issue of nutrition. Again, there are alarms now indicating that within the eastern zone of Africa will be, having drought.
Yes.
So again, WFP looking into that together with you, working hand in hand with them.
Yes.
What are the strategies again put in place to make sure that that is, tried to be maybe, let's say, prevention?
I think that again, this is an area where none of us can go it alone, and where we all have to work very strongly together, both in caring for our individual citizens, the people that we're responsible for and that we care about, but also speaking in a collective voice to our politicians in our own countries and more globally. This is an issue that we have to take very, very seriously, and we see the devastation that it is causing on a daily basis. There's another story that comes out, including the terrible devastation in Mozambique and Zimbabwe and Malawi. Again, if we build up the resilience of people, if they have the right nutrition, if we strengthen our women and our girls, who often act as the first responders to any sort of crisis, and they are also the first ones to be impacted by climate change. It is the women and the girls who go out more often than not to seek water. It is the women and the girls that go to seek firewood, and they are having to walk further. They are having to spend more time as resources become scarcer. It's mothers and grandmothers that give up their food first for children. And really the extraordinary strength of women and grandmothers, aunties, mothers, is something that we have to be in awe of and protect and respect. And WFP understands this, and in their work with populations, there is a very firm focus on women of reproductive age, women that are pregnant, women that are nursing newborns, to make sure that they have the right nutrients in order to be able to raise their young, and also looking at agriculture, at drought-resistant crops, and how it is that we respect the earth that we have and use the right tools and methods that are available to us.
Mm-hmm. In what you are advocating on, any success stories that you'd like to share with us?
It's a very difficult question to answer. I hope so. Sitting here with you is a success story. Having the opportunity to talk about nutrition, the work of the World Food Programme, the importance of women and girls, children and newborns. If I have a voice, if I have a platform, if I can have access, then I should be using that. And so having the honor of being interviewed by you, I think that's a success.
Now, as we are running out of time, would like to give you this opportunity to talk to Tanzanians on camera and explain to them all on your message that you have for them.
Just to say thank you. The welcome that I have received in Tanzania has been so warm and so wonderful. This is an incredibly beautiful country, and I'm very honored to be here. As we were discussing, there are challenges, and we all have a role to play in our individual and our collective health and well-being, in mitigating the effects of climate change, in challenging each other to do more and to do better. And so whatever it is that we do, no matter how small, we are part of progress, we are part of building resilience, and we are part of building a better future together.
Her Royal Highness, thank you so much for your time. It has been a pleasure talking to you and sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you very, very much.
Asante.
Thank
Asante.
You. Thank you.